Americans spent $26.5 billion on suspension damage in just 2021 alone, and 95% of mechanics are making the same $2,000 mistake every single time they touch your suspension. I'm about to reveal 7 suspension-destroying mistakes that mechanics either don't know about or won't tell you. We're talking about ball joints that can fail at highway speeds, shocks that blow out in half the time they should, and a torque mistake so common that your professional mechanic probably made it on your truck last week. By the end of this video, you'll know more about protecting your suspension than 90% of the technicians at your local shop. We're going to save you thousands of dollars and potentially save your life. But only if you hit that subscribe button right now, because YouTube buries content like this that the auto industry doesn't want you to see. Your dealership will never tell you these secrets, but you're about to learn every single one. And trust me, after you hear mistake number 3 about Ford F-150s, you'll understand why dealers keep this information locked away. Mistake number 1, the bushing torque disaster. 95% of mechanics get this wrong, walk into any repair shop and watch them install control arms. Car is on the lift, suspension hanging in the air, mechanic torques all bolts to factory spec. Looks professional, manual says torque to 85 foot-pounds. Here's the thing, 95% of mechanics do this and 95% are creating a time bomb. But here's the dirty secret. When bushings are torqued with suspension unloaded, that rubber is locked in a twisted position. The moment the car comes off the lift, those bushings are already twisted 20 to 30 degrees beyond their design limit. According to Moog Technical Bulletin, this creates permanent damage from day one. Here's what happens. At 10,000 miles, internal micro tears develop. By 30,000 miles, visible cracks appear. At 50,000 miles, complete failure. Normal lifespan if done correctly? Over 100,000 miles? Done wrong? 30 to 50,000 miles. AutoZine forums documented a case where bushings failed at only 3,000 miles on brand new parts. Forum expert quote, 95% of premature failures are caused by improper installation. That owner faced over $1,000 in repairs. The damage cascades. Ball joints get stressed at wrong angles. Tie rods fail early. Uneven tire wear costs $600 to $1,200. Total damage from this one mistake? $1,000 to $2,500. Instead, demand this. Install components hand tight, lower vehicle to ride height, then torque bolts. Before authorizing work, ask, will you torque the bushings at ride height? If they don't know this procedure, find a different shop. Bottom line, done wrong. $1,000 to $1,400 in unnecessary repairs. Done right? $0 in premature replacement. Proper installation takes 15 extra minutes but saves over $1,000. But here's what's even scarier. This next mistake isn't damaging your suspension, it's turning your daily driver into a death trap on wheels. Mistake number 2, the shock absorber scam. You walk into AutoZone needing shocks. Sales clerk says Monroe or KYB are the same as Bilstein but half the price. You see Monroe at $45 versus Bilstein at $80. You save $140 today. Here's the reality. You signed up to buy shocks twice in the time Bilstein lasts. The truth is, Bilstein shocks average over 100,000 miles. KYB, 50,000 miles, exactly half. Monroe, 30 to 50,000 miles. Real owner quote, 200,000 miles on Bilsteins, 0 issues. Meanwhile, veteran mechanics describe Monroe as scrap metal. Monroe and budget shocks use inferior sealing. Those O-rings fail quickly. Cheap shocks leak oil within 12 to 24 months. Monroe user reported, terribly soft, bounced excessively, unsafe on highway. Same user switched to Bilstein. Perfect shock for all conditions, controlled and smooth. Let me break down the 100,000 mile cost. Monroe wrote, replace 4 times, $720 in parts, plus $800 labor equals $1,520 total. Bilstein wrote, replace once or twice, $640 in parts plus $200 to $400 labor equals $520 to $840 total. Choosing Bilstein over Monroe saves you $680 to $1,000 over 100,000 miles. Bilstein costs 10 to 20% more upfront, but delivers 100% better value. For Ford F-150, Bilstein 4600 is the gold standard at $80 to $100 each. For heavy towing, Bilstein 5100 or 6112. What to avoid? Monroe OE Spectrum, generic store brands, ultra-budget KYB. Industry secret? Many dealers install Bilstein as OEM, then sell you dealer parts at massive markup. Bottom line, buy Bilstein online, install once, forget about it for 100,000 miles. And if you think mechanics are the only ones hiding costs from you, wait until you hear what your dealership isn't telling you about this next one. Mistake number 3. The Ford F-150 ball joint cover-up. You've been told modern sealed ball joints are maintenance-free and sealed for life. Here's the dirty secret. Pre-1990s, Ford ball joints had grease fittings and lasted indefinitely. Mid-1990s onward, Ford eliminated grease fittings to save $2 per truck. They turned a 100,000-plus mile part into a 40 to 60,000 mile consumable. Dealerships profit massively from this. According to CarProblemZoo.com, the 2024 F-150 Lightning had 12 to 24,000 trucks recalled for ball joint nuts falling off. 2004 to 2015 models show failures at 22,000 to 67,000 miles. Owner report: both upper ball joints failed at 22,000 miles, dealer said. Normal wear. Ball joint failure means complete separation from the steering knuckle. 2015 F-150 lost control at 45 miles per hour, collided with guardrail, ball joint failed at 11,000 miles. Owner quote: had I been going 70 miles per hour, possible death or serious injury. Sealed ball joints use synthetic grease that degrades over time. No way to add fresh grease. Once dry, friction destroys the joint. Design lifespan: 50 to 75,000 miles, less in harsh climates. The simple fix: Moog Problem Solver ball joints with grease fittings at $80 to $120 each. Grease them at every oil change. Lifespan with maintenance: 100 to 150,000 plus miles. Financial breakdown: OEM Ford route means replacing 3 times over vehicle life. $3,360 to $5,760 total. Moog Greaseable route: replace once, $930 total. Your savings: $2,430 to $4,830. Dealers push OEM because selling you the same part 3 times beats their bottom line. Ask specifically for Moog Problem Solver. Dealers can order them but won't volunteer this. If you're finding this information valuable, hit that like button to help other car owners discover these truths. Ball joints failing is terrifying, but this next mistake, it's so common that you probably made it yourself this week. Mistake number 4. The overloading time bomb. Most people think they know how much weight their vehicle can carry. Pop quiz: what is your vehicle's exact payload capacity? 90% of drivers have never checked. It's on the Dr. Jam sticker. Every pound over damages your suspension exponentially. But here's the dirty secret. Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4 have 825 to 895 pounds capacity. That's 4 adults plus 50 pounds luggage total. Ford F-150 runs 1,500 to 3,300 pounds depending on configuration. Most owners regularly exceed 75% without realizing it. Year 1 with 20% overload, springs compressed, shocks working 40% harder. Year 2, Bilstein study shows 45% higher shock failure rate. Year 3, bushings fail from wrong angle stress. Year 4, complete rebuild needed. Total damage: $2,000 to $5,000. Real examples: F-150 towing 3,500-pound trailer plus 500 in bed equals 100% overload. CR-V with 5 people plus luggage plus roof box equals 150% capacity. All shorten suspension life by 40 to 60%. What breaks? Leaf springs $400 to $800. Shocks $600 to $1,200. Ball joints $720 to $2,200. The fix: never exceed 75% of payload capacity. For heavy hauling, install helper springs at $200 to $400 or airbags at $400 to $600. $300 investment prevents $2,000 to $5,000 rebuild. Most overloaded: Honda CR-V, Ford F-150. It's a truck mentality. Toyota Highlander third row scenarios. Net savings with proper loading: $1,400 to $4,400 plus better handling, safer braking, longer tire life. Overloading slowly destroys your suspension, but this next mistake, it can destroy it in one impact. Mistake number 5. The pothole money pit. Most drivers think potholes are annoying but not particularly damaging. You cruise at 60 miles per hour, pothole appears, you can't avoid it, you think car can handle it. Here's the reality: you just caused $600 to $2,500 in damage. But here's the dirty secret: impact force is exponential. Hit at 10 miles per hour, minimal force. Hit at 30, 4 times the force. Hit at 50, 16 times the force. Control arm failure likely. According to ALA's 2021 study, Americans spent $26.5 billion on pothole damage. Average repair, $600. Average driver, 2 repairs annually. That's $1,200 per year in preventable damage. Immediate damage, tire punctures $150 to $250, bent rims $200 to $400 each. Hidden damage, control arms $180 to $550 each. Tie rods $150 to $400, ball joints $180 to $550 per corner. Speed base scale, 10 miles per hour, $0 to $200. 30 miles per hour, $400 to $800. 50 plus miles per hour, $1,000 to $2,500. Highway speed can total older vehicles. Car Problem Zoo documented Ford F-150 control arm failures after pothole impacts as most common complaint. Common repair, both lower control arms, $360 to $1,100 plus labor. What they don't tell you, never brake while hitting a pothole. Braking compresses suspension, removes cushioning. Instead, release brake before impact, coast through. What pros do: scan road 100 to 200 feet ahead. If unavoidable, reduce to 15 to 20 miles per hour. Release brake before impact. Annual savings: hitting potholes at 50 plus equals $2,400 annually. Slowing to 15 miles per hour equals $0 to $200. Your savings: $2,200 to $2,400 annually. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more money-saving automotive insights. And if pothole damage is terrifying, you won't believe what this next mistake does, especially when you're doing it on purpose. Mistake number 6. The lowering spring trap. Most people think lowering springs are budget-friendly for better stance and handling. You buy springs for $250 on eBay. You install on stock shocks to save money. Install looks great. Here's the thing: 6 months later, $1,560 in additional repairs. But here's the dirty secret. Bilstein's 2018 study showed vehicles lowered more than 1.5 inches experience 45% higher shock failure rates. Most lowering springs drop 1.5 to 2.5 inches danger zone. Stock shocks are overwhelmed. Failure timeline, 6 to 12 months instead of 50,000 plus miles. Complete cheap lowering cost: springs $200 to $300 plus labor $200 to $400 equals $400 to $700 upfront. 6 months later, blown shocks $600, worn tires $800, alignment $160. Surprise cost $1,560. Lowering changes camber by -1.5 to -2.5 degrees. Without camber kit, tire contact reduced to inside 60%. Mustang Forums data: tire wear goes from 50,000 miles to 15,000. Performance tires $800 to $1,200 per set. Extra expense over 100,000 miles, $3,200. Stock shocks compressed 40 to 60% constantly. Valving overwhelmed, seals fail. Less suspension travel means hitting bump stops constantly. Handling becomes unpredictable, dangerous. Instead, Step 1, choose quality springs, Eibach, H&R, Tyne. Step 2, pair with matched shocks, Bilstein B8, Coney Sport. Step 3, get camber kit before installing. Step 4, professional alignment immediately. Step 5, second alignment after 200 to 300 miles. No shortcuts. Specific vehicles: Ford Mustang gets Eibach plus Bilstein B8 plus camber bolts, total $1,330. Honda Civic uses Teen plus Coney plus camber kit, total $1,330. Wrong way, $2,800 plus dollars. Right way, $1,700 to $2,100, zero additional costs. Savings, $700 to $1,100. You won't believe what secret number 7 reveals. This is where a $200 problem becomes $5,000. Mistake number 7. Ignoring the warning signs. You've been told suspension systems are durable. You hear a clunk and think, it'll be fine. Steering feels different. Probably needs alignment. One shock looks oily. I'll fix it later. Here's the reality. 3 months later, $5,000 suspension rebuild. But here's the dirty secret. Suspension problems cascade. Week 1, small oil leak on shock, $200 to replace. Month 3, bad shock can't dampen. Bushings taking abuse. Month 6, shock failed, impacts crack bushing. Month 12, bushing $400, ball joint $350, other shock $200, tires $800, alignment $160. Total, $1,910 from ignoring $200. Brown Daub Chevrolet study. After 100,000 miles, rubber loses flexibility. Aging accelerates failures exponentially. If one component fails and you ignore it, expect 4 to 5 more within 12 months. High mileage failures: ball joints 720 to 2200, bushings 400 to 800, shocks 600 to 1200, wheel bearings 150 to 400 each, sway bar links 100 to 200, altogether $2,170 to $4,800. Audible warnings: clunking means ball joint or bushing play, squeaking means dry joint, knocking means torn bushing, rattling means deteriorated mount. All get worse, never better. What pros do: every 25,000 miles visual inspection, $50 to $80. Every 50,000 professional inspection, $100 to $150. Every 75 to 100,000 shock replacement, $800 to $1,200. Total 10-year preventive, $2,000. Prevents 5,000 to 10,000 emergency. Your savings by addressing early, $1,200 to $4,200 per incident. Hit like if you found this breakdown useful and subscribe to the channel now. Let's add this up. By avoiding these 7 suspension-destroying mistakes, you're saving: Mistake 1, bushing torque, 1,000 to 1,400. Mistake 2, cheap shocks, 680 to 1,000. Mistake 3, Ford ball joints, 2,430 to 4,830. Mistake 4, overloading, 1,400 to 4,400. Mistake 5, potholes at speed, 2,200 to 2,400 per year. Mistake 6, wrong lowering, 700 to 1,100. Mistake 7, ignoring warnings, 1,200 to 4,200. Total savings: $9,610 to $19,330 over your vehicle's lifetime. You have the power. Demand proper torque procedures. Choose quality parts like Bilstein over Monroe. Refuse to ignore warning signs. Subscribe and hit the bell to stay smart, safe, and make your wallet thank you for watching.